So my name is Chris Tobar Rodriguez. A lot of people think that my last name is actually Tobar.
Gotcha.
I always gotta say that. And I am a illustrator, designer, entrepreneur. I don't know. There's like so I don't know. It's like, you know how when you do so many things,
Yeah.
how do you like quantify that, like, and tell people like, hey, this is what I do?
You're a creator.
You know, I'm a creator. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a creator who wanders.
Yeah.
Let's go right there.
I think that's the best way to summarize it.
Yeah. Nice. Almost. That's gonna be my bio now. Even though that's the name of the project I have, but now it's gonna be the name of my bio. So nice.
That's pretty rad. How long have you been creating for?
So I've been creating for a long time, but as like an artist professionally, wow, maybe like about like 17 years.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Good amount of time.
Yeah.
What originally got you started? What was like your first medium or your first kind of like basis of inspiration that you're like, oh, this is really what I like to do?
Yeah. So I was going to Full Sail. I was in college, and I think what drew me to like art as like a profession, like in this, like art wise, in the style that I have right now, was like playing with different mediums. So like I was playing with spray paint, I was playing with like stickers, playing with vinyls, playing with like stencils, and like this kind of like this grew into this like metaphor, like this, I don't know, this crazy idea of playing with art. And it was like a long time ago. Like this is not even in Austin. I'm not even from Austin. I originally lived in Orlando before this.
Right on.
So like I started art there, and I had we used to set up on the street, and I would just cut stencils from like random characters that I would just like kind of like silhouette out from like photographs, and just like, you know, just in the beginning, you're just having fun.
Yeah.
And I just started spray painting those onto like different materials, and that kind of like got me into it. Like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, and I sold a piece, and I was like, oh, I guess I should do this more
That's
often.
awesome.
So, yeah.
Tell me about that first piece that you created that you were able to sell, and that what kind of like reinvigorated you to be like, oh, okay, cool. How can I pursue this more?
Yeah. Man, after the tears of joy that I had from like making this piece and selling it, it was actually a weird piece. Like, I don't know, like I've always had this, like, I like to play with ideas, and just like I'm a very experimental person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to experiment with my pieces. Like, I never like, oh, set out to do this, have this result. Always. Sometimes I do. So this piece that I did was an illustration of a girl, like with her hair all long, and I just like put some stencils of like pink in the background, like a starburst in the background, and I sold that.
Gotcha.
But then like the next piece that I sold that really made me feel like, okay, cool, I want to do this. It was like in the same day that I got to sell my first two pieces, but it was like I did these characters of these kids walking, and I like put X's on their eyes, and they're all silhouette in black, and all you can see is just like wherever the X's were, it was a background of the piece.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and that was all, I think that was all pink as well. I think I just had a lot of pink on at the time.
You know, you use what you got.
Exactly. And it was like the characters are dripping paint and stuff, and yeah, someone got that, and I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. Like, I guess I should do this.
That's sick though. That kind of informs like the style that you have to this very day, right? Where you do a lot of layering. Would you say like that was just a continued motif from there?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's the layering part is my favorite part of the art part. It's like, you know, it's like being in Photoshop, you know, as the more layers that we add, you know, we play with filters and we play with things, we get to like highlight and like, you know, like make things stand out more. And I definitely think that like being in a way where I can play with layers and I can, you know, try things out. Like I could print the same image 10 times, but if I layer it differently, even each time, it makes it its own piece, its own original idea in its own way. And I've like really, really, really been drawn to that part as an artist. Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I think that, like, in a way, right, like having the different layers is kind of like representative of you, where you're like not just one type of creator. Like there's a lot of layers to what you create and what you do, right?
Yeah.
That's sick, man. I like that that's been your approach, and that you stuck with that motif, and that you've been able to apply it to, like, you know, today's work, and you haven't really deviated from that, but yet you've evolved what you've done with that, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about it, like to sit here and have a conversation about that, like something that happened 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, the layering, like I'm layering as an artist, I'm layering as a creator, and my work has evolved. And it's been really a lot of fun to watch and like kind of go back and look at, like, oh, what did I do before? And how do I want to pull things from here? And, you know, it's just like, it's been a lot of fun.
That's sick. So when you, like, okay, you decided, all right, I'm interested in this, I want to pursue this. Did you get any formal training? Did you go to school for anything, or like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So there is some formal training. I definitely went to, okay. So as a kid, I've always been making art as a kid, ever since I was a kid. I painted like my first mural when I was like in I think it was the 6th grade or 7th grade.
Oh wow, that's pretty rad.
I got to paint a mural with a bunch of other kids from our art class, and this was in Chicago when I lived there. And from there, I went to Art Institute of Chicago, I believe it was called, not the one that's all over the United States that everyone hates and everyone has a bad rap around. Like the first original one.
Yeah.
I got to take some like sculpture classes as a kid. I got to take some painting classes and like figurative drawing classes. And I always just kind of drew and played with that those tools. They didn't really like go far with me sometimes, but like I did apply them to like a lot of things that I played with as a kid. Into my teenage years, when I got out of that, I wanted to play with music, and then I went back to art. And getting to Full Sail, I was actually originally going to school for sound engineering.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, I want to be like, I can't even say his name now. You know, baby oil guy.
I think we all know, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, you know, him, Kanye, Pharrell, you know, all that. Like I was like super inspired by like the beat making, the experience making, not versus like I want to be a rapper or anything. It was like around like the playing with sounds and creating experiences. I've always liked that, and it's kind of goes back to the layering. Like those are all layering. But I really realized that wasn't the thing for me. Like, I failed out of it. I wasn't really good at like MIDI and all that stuff. And like, there's a lot of things that technically I was not like great at.
Gotcha.
That like, it was like, it set me back. So that school doesn't really, you know, work on forgiveness. Like, oh, you failed a class and you could take it 10 times. It's like, no, you failed a class, you might get kicked out.
Oh, wow. Okay. One and done, huh?
Yeah, sometimes they'll let you retake the class if you, by chance, like if it was like you were doing really well, but you know maybe you messed up on a test. But so I realized at that time I had like a split decision that made me think about, okay, if I'm not really good at this, I need to maybe think about what else I'm good at. And I've always loved art, and I always loved computers, and I saw the two come together. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole. So went to school for a graphic design degree, got the associates and all that stuff. But I still played with art in between that. Like I was like, oh, I could be a designer to like make logos and make things look pretty, but then I can also use that same skills to make art. And yeah, it just kind of bloomed from there. Kind of goes back to like the stencil part, like. Did everything on the computer, printed it out, and then cut it out, and that's the beginning.
Gotcha.
Of where we are to where we are right now.
That's pretty rad. You could see like the building blocks, right, of everything that you're doing today start to come together, and that's really nice. That like you don't really forget about what you've learned or what you've done. It's like okay, maybe I need to shelf it for a little bit, but I can always go back to that if needed later. If like there's a specific purpose for why I got to bring this back in.
Yeah.
So walk me through your time when you got to Austin. What was like that? What made you want to move over here, and how was getting transitioned into a new community, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so moving to Austin, that was a great experience. Great experience. It was actually an accident.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wasn't planning to move here directly yet. I visited about 4 years before I actually ended up moving here.
Okay.
I took a trip. My mom was getting married. I was like, I'm just gonna take like a little self-care trip. I'm gonna go from Florida to Texas to Chicago back to. And I was like, oh man, this is a great city. This is a really cool city. Like I really dig the vibe. Was even looking at it from like the why is everyone moving here?
Mm-hmm.
Like the just someone referenced it to me, referred it to me like, hey, you would like Austin. And so 4 or so years later, I moved into an RV.
Right on.
I was living in an RV with an ex and traveled, and we stopped here. That trip opened my eyes. It kind of brought me back to where the things I wanted to do.
Gotcha.
It was like, okay, I want to do these things with my art. I want to go these places with my art, and like build my own identity. Because back in Orlando, I was doing a lot of the exact same things that I'm doing today there.
Gotcha.
But just in a group form. I had a group called the B-Side Artists. And here, what happened is it was just it was really easy for me to kind of find people. And I need to say this, I've always been really good at that because I always moved around a lot as a kid. Everyone tells me oh, how do you meet new people so easily? How do you go into these rooms and just meet new people and kind of find your tribes pretty quickly? And it's just been a gift and a curse, you could say. But as a kid, we moved around a lot of Chicago. My mom just had to make things happen, so that made me had to move to different schools sometimes, which was fine. I learned how to make new friends and move on. And so when I got here, I knew ER.
Okay.
From a prior experience at Bonnaroo. I got to paint with him.
Rad.
So I was the only artist that I knew here specifically, and Roshi.
Okay.
Those are the only two people I knew specifically here when I got here. So I think I got invited. I think ER invited me to. I forgot the name of that event. It was a big paint party that people used to go to all back in the day before they got shut down. I'm really bad with names sometimes.
That's okay.
So,
I'm the same, so no judgment here, man.
So you know who you are. So from there, I just I just started meeting people. I didn't really try to make new friends yet. I was like, oh, let me just get here. I put some art in a show, and then someone bought the piece from me that I put in the show, which was awesome. Which was really dope because in that time I was kind of up and down and stuff. So, but what happened is that someone else reached out to me, and he wanted me to do branding for him. So we started doing branding. I started doing some brand graphics for him for his social media account. He's a DJ.
Gotcha.
And then we started throwing these parties. Well, he started throwing the parties, and I just started helping do the brand stuff, and it was really fun. So that also introduced me to new people, and then from there, I kind of got my feet wet being in Austin for a couple years, doing that stuff and meeting other people and always try and network and stuff. That at one point in time, later on, I've been here for 6 years now.
Heard.
I met another group of people, Rudy and Steven, where they had Of Color.
Gotcha.
And I came in and I did a show with them, and then that kind of took things off to the new level, to the next level of things where I'm at right now currently. So it was just all these little things kind of led up to the point where I'm at now, which has been really fun to kind of go back and look at. So
well, that's awesome that you were able to internalize that ability to be able to reach out to anybody and become friends with anybody and not necessarily use the fact that you were moving around to like shelter yourself and be like, well, I'm just not going to talk to anybody because what if I have to leave again, right? Because you can always go one of two ways with that. So instead you use that as kind of like a driving force to be able to like, whether you knew it or not, propel your career, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm easy to get along with. I know how to make friends. Like, let's see how this goes. And you were able to make one group, and then it's like a domino effect, right? Like it's just it all goes off before you know it. That's so sick, man. So tell me a little bit of the stuff that you've been working on most recently. What do you have going on in your circle right now?
So most recently right now, man, I feel like there's always so much stuff going on.
Tell us all of it, man.
So currently right now, like I'm working on a solo show, a body of new work called The Neon Rodeo. That's been really fun to kind of explore because I'm kind of tapping back into like some older ideas that I had, some storylines that I kind of been wanting to play with. I need to say this too. I've always wanted to do a comic book. Like I've always wanted to do a graphic novel. So every time I talk about like, oh, there's a narrative and there's this and there's that, and they're like, people are like, man, please just make a comic book so we can keep up because like this is. But yeah, so I'm working on a solo show right now, and it's gonna be a series. I'll probably go up to like, right now I have it planned up to 6 series, 6 acts. So I'll kind of keep building upon it. The Neon Rodeo, I'm kind of like paying tribute to the creator's journey. Like our ups and our downs, we fall in and out of love with the ideas that we are like romanticizing about. So I'm kind of like touching upon that journey. There's a lot of like, there's some talk about like, falling off the horse, but don't fall off. Don't just lay there. Get back up and continue going back and going and going and going. So that's like really where the show's kind of going. For me, I am leaning into being in Texas. I'm like using this like rodeo as a scene to set the scene. I feel like I'm using my design brain, my advertising brain, and I'm trying to use my art brain to come together to create like a world that's like easy to be marketable. Because sometimes I can tell the story in different ways. Like I used to tell the story through a gas mask. Like the gas mask is a metaphor for protecting what you want in and out your life.
Gotcha.
And I put that character on every single thing that I did. So like I want to explore other ways of approaching like communication through art. Like I've never been like a really big artist that like sets you up a whole entire scene. Like,
gotcha.
There's like a bunch of nuggets all over the place because I feel like it gets overwhelming for me. So but yeah, so that's where we're going right now. On top of that, I also run a small like design studio.
Sick. Okay.
So like last year I quit my job.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. But I quit my job and it was like after the time of like working with Of Color, doing all these cool events that I was helping produce with them, and also like the events with Suelo and the music and stuff. Like it was like all these things kind of led me up to like, oh, let me take a chance, really take a chance on myself. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. Like I can go back to work. I mean, I can go back somewhere and work for somebody or with somebody. So last year I took a chance on myself and it was going really well. But you know how things go. There's ups and downs, and yeah. So like definitely hit a slow period and was kind of worried. I was like, wait, what am I doing? How am I gonna survive? Like really survive? Like to have what I've built up for myself. So right now I've been working on that. A lot of freelance work for different groups actually around town, and kind of, which is weird to say, but like also around United States.
Right on.
Like I kind of find myself like working with people like in New York and San Francisco and Washington, and I was like, wait, this is kind of cool. Like this actually happened. This is happening. Holy cow! That's what happens when people get to like expand, and I never want to really be a person that's like only attached to their city.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm not from here, but I do love it here. Like I really love it here. Like I love the people I've met here so far. I love the community. I love the support. Like I really enjoy the give and take of the community here. It's not just like a give and you're burnt out always. It's I feel like there's a lot of like give and take.
Yeah.
So there's that. What else am I working on? I got a mural that I'm working on.
Sick. Where at? Or can you tell us where at yet? Or
not yet.
Okay, that's
not
fine.
yet.
I understand.
It is gonna be an artist in public places.
Sick. Congratulations.
So there's that. But I'm excited to like talk about that more later and like share the behind the scenes and like as we ramp up things. So me and another artist named Celica, we're working together to like put this mural together. So this is gonna be a lot of fun because we're pulling two different styles. So like her style and my style, and using some like a lot of the stuff that you see in my work, like the iridescent film stuff, like bringing that in
rad.
there. So like I'm trying to like take all the layers of my work and like her work and like merge it together. So I'm like really, really excited to like, to kind of get that going and like finally like fully really like talk about it and stuff. What else is there? I feel like there might be something else.
No, that's fine. Let's go back for a bit, give you some time to think about what else you got going on. But let's talk about that moment where you made that conscious decision to like take a chance on yourself and gamble on yourself. And like, cause I'm sure it was scary, right? Like, you're like, okay, I'm going to walk away from stability. I'm going to walk away from, just constant cash flow. And I'm going to just gamble on myself and make sure that I do everything in my power to make sure that, I can proceed how I want. So what was that like the first few months? And like, what were some of those emotions? And like, how do you feel now that you've made that decision?
Oh yeah. I would say like the first moment, it was like, I felt really free. It felt really good to like really believe in myself. There's been times in the past where I've quit my job and, it's like I have like a 5-year mark. Like at 5 years, I'm like, all right, ready for the next thing, which is kind of weird. But in this time, like I felt really good because the work that I was doing outside of my job brought me more joy.
Gotcha.
And it also almost equaled out to some of the amount of money that I was making. But if I felt like if I did more of it, I could make more. Long and behold, like it was good for like a while, it was, good, steady. And then it hit a point where it's like, all right, you got to find new clients. You got to find people that are new. You got to go market yourself. And it really kind of hit me like kind of hard because I was like, oh, well, how do I'm always so like very quiet. And like, I just like to put my head down. Like, hey, get the client's needs, objectives, help them meet their goals, and like go to work and make it happen. And it got to a point where it's like, oh, I need to go find new clients. I need to go meet new people. So like I started like, just cold calling old clients and other people I've worked with and like letting them know like, hey, I'm doing this full time. So like if you know anybody, whatever. So for a while it's kind of like dead for a couple months. And then it started to build back up and that brought me joy. And currently I'm grateful for the moments that I have to like do all the stuff that I'm doing, working on all the stuff I'm working on. But it was definitely like challenging, like that I had days for sure. Like it's been about a year.
Okay.
It's been about a year and some change that there was days that I started applying for jobs because it's like, well, like I'm getting married soon. Like my fiance told me that she's like, if you don't do it now, if you don't believe in yourself right now, but when we have kids, like it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be even more difficult because like now there's another person that we have to account for. My fiance's got a great job. She's, she does amazing things. And I, so both of us together it was just like, okay, cool. Let's just do it. Like she leaned on to me when she needed it. I'm leaning on to her when I needed it. And it was just like really good. But yeah, there was moments where I started applying for jobs. Like I was just like, I need something. Like, like I need to stay steady and all this stuff. And, that definitely was kind of hard too, because I started getting rejected from that. So I was like not getting new clients and then also being rejected from other people, other companies that I felt like I had the same work. So I was like, oh, well, the only reason I quit my job was because I started to feel like I wasn't being fulfilled.
Gotcha.
Like emotionally, like I was just doing a bunch of work. We're also working online, and we had an office here, but like most of our coworkers, most of the team on the marketing side was like in different states, in Portland and
Gotcha.
like, you know, the East Coast and stuff. And it kind of got a little difficult because it's like I like to be around people. I want to be in community. I want to be in a team. Like I don't want to be a silo. I don't want to just be like a by myself where I become just like loner that I don't have no friends. I don't really do anything. Then I lose touch because I sometimes see a lot of designers that do that. They're so pigeonholed that the style that they do is the only thing that they can do.
Gotcha.
And I didn't want to become that. Like I never wanted to really become that. I see the success. I see they did amazing things on amazing clients. You know, some really big clients, but like it came to a point where it's like, oh well, I kind of want to be. I just want to be a part of a team. I just want to have something. So leaving the job was super important to me to like really believe in myself, to take the chance and go from there. And then, you know, like I said, it was good. Had a really good run, and then it got slow and it got scary. And I was like, well, I started panicking like, oh, should I go apply for jobs just to like make sure the rejection hidden, and then following up. It was just like, all right, you know what? Keep believing in yourself, keep doing what you're doing. Just, you know, just keep putting yourself out there, you know, and go from there. And right now it's like I've been able to work on some really cool projects. I'm working on some cool projects in the future, and I'm like excited about like all the things that are coming, and also creating. A lot of people think that jumping into their own creative agency or their own projects is like super easy. Like
No.
there's running a business and being a creator. Oh my God.
Yeah,
You know,
things,
like,
yeah.
I mean, you know, this is like, this is crazy. It's a lot, you know, I mean,
Yeah, there's the intricacies of everything, right? There's the intricacies of like being a creator and the things that you choose to create, and then there's the intricacies of like business development and then project management, and then you're everybody from the janitor to the CEO when you own the business. And if it's just you, I mean, you got to do everything in between.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes in between, and so being able to balance both and still find fulfillment, and then still find time to connect with people, and then still find time, in your case, to be with your partner, and then still have time for whatever else like may strike in the moment is very challenging to kind of have go back and forth. So the fact that that you're like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on myself now, because I feel like it's the right moment, is huge. Trusting that intuition, right, to make sure that you go out there and like you said, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out the way I wanted to, and I get another job, like no big deal. But you know, fortunately that wasn't the case. And yeah, the pendulum's going to swing back and forth, right? Like sometimes things are going to be super high, sometimes they're going to be super low, but kind of like what you said earlier, it's like you fall off the horse, but you got to get back on, right? And like that's kind of what you had to do. You had to get back on, and you're like, okay, you know, maybe things were a little bit shaky, and when there's that loss of stability, it's very easy to want to pivot in like whatever direction. You're like, okay, this is gonna be the safest direction for now.
Yeah.
And so to be able to like reel it back in and be like, you know what, no, I'm gonna put my feet down, and I'm gonna move forward the way I wanted to move forward. And then like you said, right now there's an abundance of projects that you're working on, so it's kind of like you're getting that momentum back to where you wanted it to be. So I think it's important to understand, like, yeah, it's not always going to be up here. Like sometimes it's going to be in the middle, sometimes it's going to be down here, and that you got to understand that at any given time you can find yourself somewhere between that spectrum. So whatever you can do in advance, so that when things are low, that you still feel the stability. Sick, right? Like operate out of a proactive state rather than a reactive state. I think. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Definitely the proactiveness is a learning. Like you know these things are gonna happen. Like you see it from watching someone else fail and succeed, but like actually experiencing it yourself it helps you learn so much more about how to approach things and how to also appreciate the lows and the middles and the highs. And when you don't, you know, and then as you go through those, it's like you start to learn how to really embrace them. That it's definitely been something to where if I was ever go back somewhere and work with someone or like partner with another company in a different way, I would appreciate things a little bit differently. I think definitely learning how to time block has been like the biggest lesson. Like,
Really?
because you you have so many things that you want to do. Like you said, like, all right, you gotta be the CEO, but you also have to be the janitor. You also have to go network, spending time, personal time, self-care time. What else? Like, you have to have like a block for like just like whatever to happen. You just let whatever happen in that section. Like, just set 3 hours up. I don't know. What happens. But you have to also respect that too. Like, all right, don't go, if you go 20 minutes after, like 15 to 20 minutes after, that's fine. But don't go an hour after. Like, step out, go take care of the next thing. So that way you can get as much done in this like time frame that we have in a day. So it's definitely been a lot of learning curves, and I'm definitely enjoying them. I hated some of them, but yeah, so yeah.
No, but it's good that you said like being able to appreciate even like the lows. I think that then makes the lows not as scary when hopefully they never come back, right? But if they do come back, like, that's water that you've treaded in the past. So you're like, okay, this is kind of similar to what happened in this time. I know how to navigate this now. And it's not like you're just drowning out in an ocean of like, oh man, what's going to happen? It's like, no, okay, we know what this has been like before. Here's how we can move past this. And then also it just builds character. And then it gives you something to then, like, if you ever find somebody else who's maybe going through something similar, you're like, listen, your situation may not be exactly like mine, but here's what I did for myself. And if any of that is going to be able to help you, go and do it, figure that out, take some of this. And so, again, it just builds value and it adds character. And then at the end of the day, like, when you do resolve everything and you're back to where you want to be, you're like, oh man, I could do it. I knew I could fucking do it. And that feels so great because it encourages you to want to do more.
Exactly. No, definitely. I mean, that part so much. I think I told you, or maybe I mentioned to you, is like with the job situation. Like, I applied to so many jobs. I got rejected probably through 20 something jobs.
Oh wow.
But having this like uphill, this uphill balance, no, I don't know if that's the word, balance. This momentum of going up and pushing through things, like the hard things, and like, okay, finally starting to pull in some clients, starting to finally get some work to keep you grounded, to keep you fulfilled, to allow you to do things, and then winning an award.
Yeah, that was rad.
Like
tell the people you won.
I meant to come on here and be like, yo, my name is Chris Tobar, award-winning Tobar.
I was hyped though, but tell them, actually, let's hear that story about how that came to be, and then how you were able to compete and win, and let's hear it.
Yeah. So the award I received, I won first judge's place with Samara Barks, who goes by Mix Hughes. She reached out to me to be in this challenge. Like, I mean, Adobe sent us, I think, both the same emails.
Right.
And it was like some last minute stuff. I mean, Adobe, get it together. Yeah. But I see that they're trying. I appreciate they're trying. But so they reached out to us. Sam reached out to me to be her partner. So like this was in teams of twos, and there was 8 teams. Yeah, 8 or 9 teams.
Gotcha.
That we all battled against each other. We had 3 hours to design something on the spot, create something on the spot, but we were given our prompt the day of. Like,
gotcha.
Right when we got there, we got our prompt. So we only had like, they got the prompt. They gave us a prompt at 2. Damn, I'm trying to think. Whatever time. It was like 5 minutes before the clock started.
Yeah.
We got the prompt. It's called "Make It Pop." Every designer and artist's worst phrase that we dislike to hear. Make it pop.
Yeah, it's this looks really great, but can you make it pop a little?
Yeah. So we got this prompt, and I was like, all right, cool, interesting. This is gonna be fun. But I like a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying these challenges as through the seasons that I've been through, and make it pop. I was like, okay, maybe we could take a word from there and use that as like our like jumping off point. So me and Sam are from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. She's from Detroit.
Gotcha.
So we're both from the Midwest. So we just like leaned heavily into pop, which called soda pop. In the Midwest, you go to the store, on the sign it says pop. What pop you want? You know, doesn't say soda, doesn't say Coke. It's like funny living here. And my fiance, she's from Texas, so like there's phrases and things that she says that makes me laugh. I'm like, oh, so if you went to Chicago, you probably think that we're weird too. So yeah, we leaned really onto that. We were given the chance to actually use whatever tools that we wanted from an Adobe platform.
Okay.
But we couldn't do any animation.
Okay.
So like I was like, ooh, I should animate this. I want the bottle to be floating. I want to see some bubbles. Like I was just gonna like go into After Effects and just like add some particle effects and everything. I was like,
right,
let's just go all in. And so we kind of split up the piece into two.
Okay.
Sam had this dope idea to like make all the heads explode just like off the phrase, like, you know, it's our worst, you know, it blows our minds, like, really, what? So she actually designed the label for the bottle.
Okay.
And then I leaned into my character. She's like, oh, she really liked how I approach my characters. So like, all right, cool, perfect, like let's just have fun with this. So we had a reference photo of some girl like holding a can Coke. We went like the vintage nostalgia, like kind of Coke ads, kind of like leaning into that. But like I wanted to make her like a Afro Latino girl. Gotcha. Like, you know, like I gotta show up. Like, I mean, we're literally, I think we're probably like one of the only people, like two of us, I think maybe one other person was like Afro, you know, Latino, like, and it's like in these spaces, it's kind of funny because it's like, it's weird to like lean into that, but it's also funny how when you don't see yourself in that community, in that space, you feel like, oh, you don't belong there. You kind of like, you know, you belong wherever you belong, but you start to kind of switch up how you show up. Yep. You know, so like we like really leaned into like, all right, cool, let's go this style, let's go this route. There was a girl there that actually had like really curly nappy hair, and I was like, oh, perfect, like, well, I'm gonna use her as like a jumping off point, because if people see her, they'll understand, like, you know, I'm just using the room, the elements in the room and stuff. So like I was like, all right, cool, perfect. So yeah, we did these illustrations, we did all these designs, really, you know, I'm using Adobe Fresco and she's using Illustrator. And then what happened? Oh, so then we only had 3 hours. 2 hours of it was us just working on our own, you know, everyone in their zones. We brought our own computers, all that stuff. I brought my iPad. And then the last hour is when the guests got to show up. And then from there, we had that 3 hours. We got that cut off. And then, you know, the panel, there's a couple panels going on. Not panels, but a couple speakers that spoke about their work. That was really cool. It was really nice. It was really cool to see a whole entire different crowd of like design enthusiasts and designers that were in the room. So like we went up, we had 2 minutes to talk about our piece. So I'll be honest, pulled most of that shit out my ass. Like the beginning of it, I was just like, we're like standing in line waiting for us to speak, and I was like, wait, we talked about what we're gonna talk about, but I was like, wait, is that gonna really sell? It was like the very last minute. I was like, oh wait, hold on, let's add in that this is from Chicago and Detroit, but there's an island in the Lake Michigan that's where they're making the soda pop at. They're making the pop at, like, so I like kind of riffed it off of that, like from that like kind of like thought process, and like, oh, this is a billboard our client wanted to make, and the ad said pop, not soda. So like the name of the brand was called Not Soda, which I feel like that's a really dope name. Actually, it really is. You know, wait. I know that. We came up with that. So we went up there. We spoke for 2 minutes. we both took turns sharing and talking about what we did, and it kind of went by really fast. Like, and then we got up stage, and everyone else presented their ideas. We were like second to last. And then what was it? So then there's a voting competition from the guest. So you got to vote, which I know you voted for me. I hope so.
I voted twice. I'm not gonna lie. Hey. I had to vote for you, and I had to vote for Rigo because
Yeah, no. I was about to say I feel like that was a torn one. Like,
I use Safari and Firefox.
Nice.
So I voted twice.
Hell yeah! I love that.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, I actually started sending it to other people real quick. Sent it to my fiance. Sent it to some. Actually, I had a couple friends that did come, but they couldn't stay for that part.
Gotcha.
So I was like, cool, I'm gonna send that to them. So that way it doesn't come off awkward. Like, what do you want me to do?
No, yeah, they knew at least. Yeah,
so,
that's tight.
So we got to present, and then the judges voted. Whatever. I mean, the guests voted.
Mm-hmm.
And we came second place to your boy.
They did a good job too. Shout out to Rigo and to Stefan. They did a good job too. Yeah.
No, they did an amazing job. Like, when I saw their piece, I'll be honest, because we got to see it a little bit before, my heart dropped. I was like, fuck, damn it. Like, oh man, this is too dope. Like, they
were both good. I mean, both of y'all did a really great job. I think hearing now more so the context of like why you did everything, I think that's really rad, because not only were you like obviously pulling from stuff that you already know how to do, but you were also leveraging like stuff that was going on within the space. You also took the time to make sure that you like set some sort of creative direction before you guys started designing everything. And then again, very much like what you do with your artwork, like you were able to create a story around everything that you were doing. So that adds value, right? Because purpose-driven design, in my opinion, is always going to go a lot longer than just we made it look pretty because it's pretty.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't resonate with anybody.
That's the make it pop.
Yeah.
You just made it pop. Cool. You made it pretty, but it doesn't make no sense.
Where's the value, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really what the judges ended up saying was what pulled you guys into first place from like the judges' perspective. It's like you guys won because of the value that you created around everything, like the naming of the billboard that you created, saying that this was a client that even though it was fictitious, right, that you had coming towards y'all. No, I think it was all well executed. And again, there was a handful of really great designs up there, and so the fact that you were able to win first in the judges and even second in the people's vote goes to just like it shows like a lot about what you're doing, and you're not there was a reason why she reached out to you and why Adobe had reached out to y'all to go out there and perform, and that's the reason why y'all won.
Appreciate that.
No man, it was rad. It was awesome to be there, and again, just to your point, right, just to see so many different creatives like come together and just be there for the sake of like design and creation and inspired and talk to one another and just get to mingle. It was a really good time. That
was really dope. It was really dope to see a bunch of that. Like I love going to those kind of things. I feel like we need that more as especially as a designer. Like I definitely want to be in more rooms with some other like really dope designers. Like I mean, we only get better by hanging around people that are just as next level to us. Like everyone's trying to reach the next level, but no one's at the top. Like everyone's just like, oh, you're dope. Oh, let me hang around you so I can grow in that way. And then, that and so forth and so on. So it was really dope to like be there. Funny thing is like when I went to Full Sail, I graduated Full Sail, and then I started teaching at Full Sail.
Oh, right on.
Like literally like 6 months after I graduated. I got hired to be a studio artist, which is like basically like the lab instructor.
Gotcha.
So the teacher taught the class for 4 hours, like a course, or 2 hours, and then I taught the labs for 2 hours. I like walk you through like how to use InDesign, how to create pages, how to create spreads, how to use masters, how to use grids, how to use color, and then play with color theory, and then how to do Illustrator and all that stuff. All to say, I had 2 students that actually, since I moved here, they've been here.
Oh, right on.
So like every time we're out at a design thing, I always run into them. And they've been mad supportive. Like it's been really dope to like see my life change in a way where, all right, now I'm in the playing field, the same playing field that they're in, trying to get work, trying to be creative, trying to stay relevant, trying to do the thing, trying to have fun, trying to just enjoy life, and also stay inspired by going to these kind of things, like, that are so much needed, very much needed for us as creators. It's, I say creators, but as designers in that case. and it's really dope. Like, so they were there, so it's just like really fun to see them. So.
That's nice that you were able to get into teaching, right? Because there's like no better way to like show that you know what you're talking about than to be able to successfully guide somebody else through like, okay, no, yeah, this is how you do it. Let me show you a quick shortcut. Let me show you these hotkeys real quick so you don't have to be spending your time looking for everything. How long did you teach for?
I taught for 5 years.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
What how did you feel your experience was as a teacher? Like, what did you think about that?
I thought the experience was cool. I got to meet a lot of really dope students that have become my friends, and as design friends and just great friends. But like that experience of like, I don't know if you know, but Full Sail, every month we get a new batch of students. So sometimes it was overwhelming because you get different students, and then sometimes I got to move along with some of those students.
Oh, that's
like
right.
I was in digital publishing, and then maybe I was in portfolio creation, and I was in color theory, or I was in typography with them, and I got to kind of see them progress, and I got to learn how they worked. You know, we're all humans. We all have different ways of like inputting and outputting stuff, and sometimes you kind of need that like safety net. Like, oh, cool, this person knows how I work, so I can talk to them about my idea and not feel awkward because like I don't know how to verbalize like my idea yet, because some people are not really great at that. So that taught me a lot, from how to communicate with different people, how to figure out how to use the tools faster, how to also make sure I'm like staying a part of the trend, or like seeing what's really going on out there. Like, things are changing, people are using different tools, and I never want them to like feel like they're being shorthanded because they paid all this money to come to school and then like lose, like when they get out there they lose value. Yeah. So for me, whatever I didn't get, I started to give to them. That was like my biggest like thing that I wanted to get from it. I was also getting paid for that, so I would take that. Yeah. Was it the highest paying job? No. Full Sail? No. Y'all gotta pay y'all staff more, even more. But it was a really great journey. I did at the end. I knew it was not a long term thing. At that point, I do want to go back to teaching. I would love to go back to teaching. I would love to go back to like building like a school or system, to help creators like leverage all the tools and be efficient as much as possible. Yeah. But I would say that I knew that I was not meant to be there for a long time because I never had no agency experience. I never got to work at a in-house marketing company. So I didn't know those things. Like, I literally went to school I was there for like about 3-4 years, like with sound engineering, and then I got my associates and my bachelor's, and that was like about like a 16-month program to get both of those around about. And then I got hired there. At the same time, I made sure to keep myself relevant by doing art shows outside, and then trying to invite the students out, whatever, like for them to show their art. And even the teachers, like I also like was like trying to help the teachers out. Like I was like, yo, like I get it that you have a safety net, but still don't forget that you're creative, that you're really dope at what you're doing. Like, you have another skill set, share that. Don't worry about making money off of that. You got your full-time job. And those things, kind of like have like resonated with me still to this point. But it was a lot of fun. I was, I had a great time with it. I learned a lot. I'm still learning. So I think now if I went back, I hope that I can add way more value to like my teaching and my skills and how I approach, students and people that want to learn. Yeah. Like anyone who wants to learn something, and if they're open to it and having fun and playing with ideas and experimenting, I'm down to sit down with y'all and stuff, as long as I get paid for it. I know money is like a very like fickle thing. It's like, why does it always have to be about money? But it's like, yo, we have to pay for bills, we gotta pay for tools, we gotta pay for all these things, just the baseline. Yeah. Like if I had all the money in the world and money wasn't a thing, I would 100% love to sit and help other people, you know, of course, in a sectional thing. Like Full Sail's like a full year.
Gotcha.
Like you don't get the summer breaks. You get a winter break, but you don't really get like time off to like decompress and make sure like and look at what you're doing and analyze stuff really deep before you approach the next group. Like,
Gotcha.
you know, so, and I mean, even like school teachers now, they have to do that. They
Yeah.
get a summer break off, but like they don't get paid
No.
as much. And it's a struggle because they want to like literally help all the kids be so much better in this world that, you know, they can't really do that thing because they get paid too less, that they have to do other side jobs, that they get distracted, and, you know, and here we are.
Yeah, it takes away from like being able to, I was just talking about this the other day, like being able to create from a space where your stability is met and you're not worried about anything produces such a different outcome than when you're having to create for the sake of like, you know, let's say you're a full-time artist and you're like, oh man, I got to make 10 paintings and I got to sell all 10 of these paintings and I know what the people are buying, so I'm going to create in this style because I know this is going to move. And it's like, yeah, it's rad, you know, sometimes you can accomplish what you're looking to accomplish in that regard, but I feel like the most creative, the most unique, the most authentic, the thing that's actually going to push you to be a better creator is the stuff that you create just because you're like, this is what feels right, this is what I'm inspired by in the moment, this is what's coming out of me right now, these are the emotions that I have right now, this is a body of work that like I've poured myself into. And if you dig it, tight. If you don't, that's okay too, because I'm not dependent on this body of work to get me by. And there's something so liberating to be able to create from that space.
Yeah. You know, you touched upon something that happened last night. Like, so like, you know, I have the show coming up, and in the 5th hour, 4th quarter, the buzzer's about to go off. I literally created 2 new pieces.
That's rad though.
I was like, oh shit, that's gonna be dope. Let me draw this out. Like, and then this morning I spent like, you know, way too long trying to like execute and put everything ready to like, you know, send to the printer. But I was just like, sometimes it's all about flow. It really is. Like, if you start, I feel like the work that I've sold the most of has come out of just pure, just flow. The stuff that I try too hard, I'm trying, is like the stuff that I'm like stuck with for like a lot longer. But I feel like this stuff that like, you know, when you're in flow, it resonates with people. People get to see that, especially when you get to talk about it more, you know, instead of just being, you know, recluse and like, you know, hiding it and then sharing it, you know. But I think there's something really valued in there, and it's so important to like have your moments of flow, but also have your moments of structure. Like, if you know something's working, do that. Shepard Fairey does that.
Yeah.
And he does really well. But he also has his moments where he like wants to experiment within those channels of like layers and experiment with different things. And yeah. I only bring him up because like growing up as a designer, when I was as like looking to be an artist, I looked at his work and Andy Warhol. Like, those two I found were like the only like 2 designers that I was seeing at the moment.
Gotcha.
I've seen so many more now, but like that I saw that were like really pushing the boundaries for like commercial sense.
Gotcha.
Like, you know, like mass scale, but like still being organic, still doing street art, still like being raw with it and being humble about it. That I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, there's people like that doing these kind of things. And I'm like, okay, I mean, Andy Warhol's on the other side, but like, you know, Shepard Fairey for me was like, oh, I watched that man. I was like, oh, dope. That's really dope. Okay, cool.
As you continue to work through your career, you know, where do you want to go next? What do you want to develop next? What does this next chapter look like for you?
Yeah. So I feel like the next chapter for me is, it's a couple things. It's really focusing on being this creator, this artist, and building a body of work that I can like tell my narratives and tell stories through. I really want to lean into, I want to set some time and like really create space to work on an animation. Like, I've been playing with tools and behind the scenes and like figuring it out how I want to approach this. But like, I feel like one of the best ways that I I relate to content, like communication. I know a lot of people read comic books and they love reading. I'm just not. I've never been a really big reader, but like watching visuals, hearing stories, hearing soundtracks, like all that stuff, I want to create around my body of work. It's already been something I've been working on, like, you know, like I said before, but that's where I want to go. Like I want to talk about these like deep narratives. Like I want to talk about being an artist and having failures. I want to talk about the highs. I want to talk about the lows. I want to talk about like there's some like also some random shit.
Yeah.
Like I just want to like goof off. Like I don't want to like, oh well, this story in today's episode.
Yeah.
You know, like we learned this A B C. No, get the hell out of here with that. No, I definitely want to. I definitely just want to have some fun with it. I want to poke some sense of humor. I want to bring in some friends that like have really great voices and just like allow them to like riff and like have fun. And I feel like I forgot what cartoon I used to watch. I feel like it was like a 90s or 90s cartoon where they used to just like be random. Oh, Ren and Stimpy.
Gotcha.
Ren and Stimpy was like they would just say some random shit.
Yeah.
And some creepy shit, but I like the structure of that. I'll just leave the creepiness alone. But like there's a lot of things sometimes like I want to poke fun at, like, man, but so there's that. Like I definitely like am like that's the direction I'm headed towards. I'm headed towards that place where it's gonna be either like a main character or maybe main characters.
Gotcha.
With like arcs that maybe can like relate to certain subject matters, being like an Afro Latino, like talking about that, but talking about it from a different perspective, like versus like, oh, you're black or you're Hispanic. And that's like where we're going to start.
Gotcha.
I want to talk about like all the things that kind of come with that, and I want to just have fun with it. Like I want to poke the jokes at it. I want to have strong conversations. I want to like just really like sit with it and like help educate people, but then also make people laugh. Like I love making people laugh. Like I feel like it's one of those things for me. It's like humor really like cuts the like that, like that what's that called? There's a phrase for it.
Probably cuts the tension, maybe.
Yeah, it cuts the tension. You know, that way like now everyone's like so tense. Like even during the award ceremony thing, I had to make people laugh. Like I gotta make people laugh. Like, it for me, like it makes like, all right, cool, people, like we're human.
Yeah.
Like no one's perfect up here. Even though we all have great highs and lows, we're not perfect. And I want to like always remind people that's where I'm coming from. And then from there, I don't know. I feel like that's a whole entire world building. Like I want to do some world building. Looking at like how Disney and DC and all that stuff, like why don't we have more of that? Like I don't see much more of that coming. Like I see like small bits. Now the NFT market, like with like Doodle whatever guy, Dibbler, he has like he started NFTs, and then he kind of like now has like a bunch of like soundtracks and music with like Pharrell and Little Uzi and all that stuff. And it's like kind of cool to see like that transition from like, okay, this digital world now becoming a new piece of like IP now to have its own ideas coming from that in its own world. So where it's like, if you like those people from the outside, you're definitely going to like it when you come here. So that way, sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry. What else? And then after that, it's definitely, I want to get back to curating. But I want to do curating like in a very like genuine way. Like, I want to work with a group of artists.
Yeah.
And like push them through their career. Like, and go from there. And then find new artists and work with them. And then teach people what I'm doing to like help other creators, like I feel like there's a bunch of us that want to do this. I wish that art management was like relatively like easy to get.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one thing that we don't really have in the art and design illustrator community. Like we don't really have like access to like finding really dope like art management. you know, without it being like a place that's like, oh, well, we take 50%, we take 75%. Wait, you're not doing nothing. I get it. You're finding me somebody that has a lot of money, but you're just a middleman, and I want to give you money, but I don't want you to take all my money. So I definitely like, I'm leaning like going towards like the, you know, that. So that's another project I have that's called Creators Who Wander.
Gotcha.
And Wonder. Creators Who Wander. I say wander, and everyone's like, with an A? No. Creators Who Wander. And basically it's that plus like reminding people that like, yeah, you have a full-time job and you hate it, but maybe look at it in a different way. Like, use that job to fuel your side projects. You know, it's not easy. You know, like, I mean, we had that conversation in the beginning, like, you know, like it's a struggle bus sometimes. It's like you're going months without a really like steady check, and everything's like piecemealing it. And that's not fun. That's not healthy. Cause it's going to mess up your insanity. It's going to mess up your like your drive, your focus, and you're going to get so lost that you're going to start going all crazy ways. So like, seeing all that for myself, I definitely want to apply that when I get to the point when it's ready to do that. That's what I want to help artists do. And everything I'm doing, from like curating to helping artists, is all going to go funnel under Creators Who Wonder. And then Tobar Takeover would just be focused on just being an artist. So the narrative, the story, the future projects that I want to do, taking the Neon Rodeo is just one part of the whole entire thing. Like, there's other stories I've told with the gas mask. That's called Dexter's Shadow.
Dexter's Shadow, right.
And then the Native. Like, it's kind of funny. Native was the name of my series, and then I moved to Austin, and there was a place called Native, which I spent so much time in, like so many great memories in, like a lot.
That's so crazy that like we didn't like become friends then, because I spent countless hours there, like just sitting there and working there and eating there and having coffee, when just watching them go through their changes. So it always blows my mind, like how we probably sat next to each other, bro, and we didn't even know it.
Oh yeah, I bet. You know, that's the thing too about sometimes it's like you're sitting next to someone and you might not even meet that person until like a different roundabout. Like, you might come full circle to this person, like, oh shit, like, you know, this person, like, wait, how have we never met? And maybe you guys we've been in the same rooms. It's just like different friends, different environments, maybe different mindsets, like, you know, like other things are going on, like, you know, so yeah, that's kind of funny. I feel like Native was the watering hole for the Austin creatives before Soho. And really, Soho to me doesn't feel like a place I want to show up to every day, for me personally. No disrespect to Soho. I think it's a great place. That, you know, I've been to a lot of great things and a lot of great people that work there. It's just never been like a place where I'm like, oh, I want to go there. I see it for people, but I feel like Native was like that easy spot. Like, you could slide in and then slide out, like kind of thing. It's like, you know, if you didn't have to pay, all you have to do is pay for drinks and food, but you're gonna end up staying there. Like, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna find something. You're gonna find people. There's all walks of life, and it was like really dope to have that. And I feel like we need that. Like, we need another space like that to go to. Maybe there is one, but I just don't know about it because
we just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. So, what else? Yeah. So, I mean, those are a couple of things that I have planned right now for my career, like that I'm like focused on. And then bringing back the music events, like the I Feel Like music events. I feel like those are fun to do. A lot of fun. Like the Curate and the sneaker ones are fun to do. But yeah, those are kind of like the couple like key things. I really feel like my focusing on myself is like the top priority. I'm being a little bit more selfish. The focus on my art, the focus on this, and then, you know, if I curate, it'd be minimal, like throughout the year. Like, I don't want to like curate every single month in every single spot. It's too exhausting. You're gonna burn yourself out, and you know that it happens. It's happened for sure for me. Like, but yeah, I'm trying to think what else.
No, man, that's good. I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's already a lot. Like you have like a lot of things that you want to do, a lot of like intentionality behind why you want to do it, and then more so than anything, again, you're just like being that creator of opportunity for others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just imparting whatever wisdom you have for others that want to walk through that door, right? Because you can only
Yeah,
open the door, you can't force anybody to walk through it.
exactly.
So just being able there and just be like, look, this is what I can provide. If you're down with it, cool. If not, then that's okay too. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
no right or wrong, response to what I'm trying to give you.
Yeah,
It's just whatever feels right to them and you at that moment. And then moving like that is always just the most amicable way to approach something, I feel
yeah,
like. So that's always rad. I do want to know though, you have a very great understanding of storytelling and like building characters and story arcs. Like where did that come from? Was that something that just naturally happens or from watching things, or like how did you really get such a foundational and sound understanding of storytelling?
yeah. So I do think it comes from like reading comic books was definitely a big thing for me. Like every single character, I like look at Batman. Batman, that whole entire genre. Batman has Joker. Joker is basically Batman,
Mm-hmm.
but from a different side of the coin. Now, a coin, you got the Two Face, good and bad. That's the person that chooses the look, and so like those things from me really taught me these different ways of approaching storytelling. And if it didn't hit me until like later on,
Mm-hmm.
like years later, like from a kid. So I would say probably in like the last like 10 years, I really started to get it. And I started to understand it. And I started to look at like what's the character arc? I forget the name of the system.
The hero's journey.
The hero's journey. But you know how like everyone has like a persona?
Yeah.
We all have a persona. In a story, in a room, there's the hero, there's the antagonist, and then you have all the characters that help you get, in the circle, whatever, around the circle. So I started to like pay attention to those things, started to read upon those things, started just to do research. Anytime I had like an idea, like I was trying to think of like how do people play parts in this story? Like when we watch a movie, we're not just watching a character just win all the way across. We watch that character go up, down, down, up, down, and then when they get to when they achieve the thing that was pushing them down, we're rooting for them so much. It's like, even like a villain too. We're like, I understand why that villain is like that.
Yeah.
This is what pushed them down. Like they're just trying to like push back against that, but because people don't know how to respond to that because they're so used to like being like almost like only being saved or being comforted or coddled, that like the villain's journey is looked at like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you breaking? And it's like, well, this is why I'm breaking in. And when you start to understand the villain starts to feel like, oh, okay, cool, you see me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, we all just want to be seen. And I think to say this out loud for the first time, really, maybe, I think for me, as just a human, as a boy, as a human, I feel like I just always wanted to be seen. Like going from neighborhood to neighborhood, I never felt seen. I just felt like this identity of like, I go back to this a lot. I don't want to put it on my race, but like being black and Hispanic, but not being the typical of those two. I felt like there's so many other people that don't feel seen. So they do the craziest things. The white kids do the craziest things because maybe they were not meant to be in this body of this community. Maybe they need to be over here. Maybe this black kid needs to be over there. And like, but because we have so much like division, we always have to like, oh well, you have to stay over here, you have to stay over here. And it's like, but why? Why do we have to do that? And I feel like we don't feel seen. And for the longest time, I just didn't feel seen. So like using these characters to tell these stories helps me feel seen, helps me see others, which is so important because like I don't want to make this a one-way street. I want to make this like a like a two-way street. I want to make this a cross section. I want to, you know, to a limit. Like I can't handle too many personalities all at once. I mean, I want to be respectful of their who they are. That I felt like that's why I think I used so many like masks and so many other characters to represent personal things for me in my story, and in my art. Like, I mean, when you'll see it, you'll kind of see it now when you see the new body of work. Like, not it is a story about a character, but this character is in a room of a bunch of other characters that are almost like a metaphor of him and the things that he maybe might thinking of or feeling or whatever, male or female. And I feel like I feel like we're all the same. We're all like the same. We're made up all the same things, but we're just like a Rubik's Cube of like different options. Like, you know, like, but we're all from the same thing. We all have the same amount of things. Some of us have less than others, shorter fingers, taller fingers, whatever. But like, I felt like for me, it was like, these are the things that like make us. And then when we're gone, what? Like, I mean, we go transform into something else? I don't know, maybe.